A very good to everyone present here today. My name is Zainab Idris, today's moderator. I'm extremely pleased to welcome all to yet another session of the Author Saga. We are now live on Facebook. We have people joining in from different countries and areas. Let's start with a quick introduction about Pick a Book. So what Pick a Book is a habit by getting all participants to select a book and research on it thoroughly and present a summary to hone his or her public speaking, communication, and presentation. By doing this, Pick a Book not only in the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. Pick a Book has marked its inspiring presence in 4 countries, which are Sri Lanka, India, the UK, and Singapore in just a span of 1 year. With 600 plus 18 regions and 30,000 people inspired, is continuing to spread its wings across the whole globe. The book has recently begun a fantastic initiation called the Author Saga. Through these sessions, authors will be able to reach their readers and individuals with like-minded interests. Authors can discuss key insights of their book, and viewers will be able to take away from this. We hope to help authors all around the world, our fellow readers, and aspiring authors as well on their journey. These will be inspiring sessions with authors, ensure that they gain a wider reach and encourage individuals to further enhance their reading habit. Without any further ado, I'm extremely thrilled to welcome our author guest for the evening, Bradley, who currently resides in Sri Lanka. Bradley Emerson is a career mentor, keynote speaker, author, and trainer. Bradley Emerson is a product of St. Benedict's College, BA from PIM, fellow of Institute of Bank, holder of an advanced diploma in management accounting. Bradley has also been a career banker to joining CIMA in May of 2007 as the regional director of South Asia, North Africa. He has Commercial Bank as senior manager of operations, Bank of Oman and Kuwait as operations in charge, Next Bank as head of retail banking, and Pan Asia Bank as DO. Bradley has also received Achievers Awards from the BIM and Top HR Leaders by the World HR Congress in July of 2017 in recognition of outstanding achievements. Served as an National Quality Awards 1996 through 1999 and Bank Marketing for the Institute of Bankers of Sri 2001 and 2003. He has served at judging panels of MTI Consulting for MTI Venture Startup Challenge and Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for SLIM Brand Excellence 2010. Faculty Management Sciences, Cosmat University, Lahore, Pakistan. Bradley, founder and CEO of Business Athlete and executive at Imperial College of Higher in Colombo. So hi, Bradley. Welcome. Thank you so much. So we are actually so glad, and we'd like to thank you for joining us on the Author Saga. We are more than delighted. So today, Bradley's outstanding book, Role, a diagnostic approach to. So Bradley, before we actually dive into this book, I would just like to ask some significant highlights and turning points that you have had in your life.
I wonder how long you have to listen to this. It's been a very long journey. A couple of highlights. If I go back from the present, my movement to education from banking was a significant turning point, which drove me into understanding the needs of nations. And then I had a short stint at the government as leader of the private-public partnership unit, which also helped you to understand the potential this country has and what we are not doing to get the best out of that potential. In terms of my career, moving away from a comfort zone in profit-making banks and coming into a bank that was not doing well at the time I joined Financial Bank. I remember the conversation I had with Max Davis, who was the CEO at Nation Trust Bank, and I wanted to leave NTB, which was John Key's group, making money, to join Financial Bank, which was not doing so well at the time in 2003. He asked me, are you sure? Have you seen the balance sheets? They're not doing well. And I said, yes, I have. And that bank can't go any further down. Only way it can move is move up. And that's when I went there. 3 years, I managed to turn it around. When I was headhunted to join CIMA, I honestly said, when I was met by Fayez Salim, one of the leading headhunters, casually said, why don't you try this job? And I said, see, man, it's not up to my muscle. It's not big enough. But when I went into CIMA, I realized that one could actually define his own role. One could actually define their career if they're willing to open their minds to the opportunities. And companies are looking for people who can do that. And I realized why people get stuck in where they are. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book Role, is because of their own self-definition, self-limiting definition of potential and role. So that was the turning point. But in terms of my pre-employment lifetime, I wasn't a very good student. I didn't even qualify to go to university. I was focusing on sports and other activities. In fact, when I ended up in the bank, one of my grade 12 class teachers was absolutely surprised that I was in the bank and holding a senior position. And in fact, he asked me, how did you get there? But the lessons I've learned is that your future is not the extension of the past. You can always start from wherever you are and make a difference. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your education backgrounds are, who your parents are, where you are right now doesn't matter at all. Once you identify what you can become, the journey gets faster.
Amazing. That's an inspiring journey. You've had to have that journey as well. Amazing. Okay, so let's move on. So just going on to your book, The Role, the Diagnosis, what exactly inspired you to write such a book?
Zeno, I have been writing, as in not books, but I have been writing to magazines, newspapers. Prior to that, a couple of articles had been published. And I had a passion to train people. And the whole concept of the role itself is actually an outcome of a training program that I have developed. And you look at the book, you will see there is a model that I have brought into the book. I was in a training program at IIM Bangalore, and there was this professor called Professor Agrawal, who was the course lead. I was there on a week workshop. And over lunch, he casually asked me, so Bradley, what's your role in the bank? And I told him, I'm the senior manager operations. And he said, that's your designation. My question was, what is your role? And I couldn't give him an answer properly, because this we find, you ask anybody, what is your role, they'll end up telling you designation. So that conversation with him, then he shared some material with me on how do you diagnose the role. And then based on that, I actually developed a training program for the bank called Role Diagnosis. Because most of us don't diagnose a role. We perform a designation. So if you don't diagnose a role, you can't perform. So then I actually started doing this training programs. I think I would have done about 30, 40 programs, public and within the organization. Then I thought, why don't I put this? Because I had the framework. Why don't I put this into literature? So that's how it all started. To put in words what I actually teach when I do this workshop. That's how it happened.
All right. So would you say that one conversation with your fellow teammate kind of sparked him asking you what your role was?
He was not my teammate. He was actually a course director on the program that I was following in India.
All right. All right.
And I realized the depth of that question. When people ask, so what is your role? See, the best example is if I'm an actor, I do different roles. What's your profession? I'm an actor. So what's the role in this movie? That's a different one. So that's why we need to understand whole concept of a role. If you don't diagnose the role, you can't perform.
All right, amazing. Okay, so moving on to our third. So how strongly would you say that you believe that all education and experience may really qualify for you to achieve a role, that performing and sustaining the performance in the role itself largely depend on what external factors that influence role?
Well, I can summarize the book in response to this question. See, first thing I want to tell you, Zainab, the first question you asked, qualification and experience. That's changing fast, right? In a changing world, experience has become fast becoming obsolete. We can count cash in counters. We use machines. I mean, we don't even use cash. So the way we have worked in the past is no longer relevant. I talk about it in the book where one of the cashiers who came and said, I've been working as a cashier for 10 years and I've not been promoted. So I asked him, so what do you do as a cashier? You just count up to 10, isn't it? So if you can count up to 10 for 20 years, doesn't make you better. So fast changing world will make experience obsolete. The education systems that we have in this country are filling the minds and not shaping minds. So when the filling becomes obsolete, we become obsolete. So today, the world is looking for cognitive skills. The world is looking for competency, not so much experience. Now, even Google hired a 14-year-old paying $1 million salary. They're not looking for experience anymore. They're not even looking for qualifications anymore. These are top brands in the world. So I think we need to be looking at our employability in a different perspective. Now, coming back to the role, you stuck it right. Not only the role, Zainab, even our lives, we live as per other people's expectation. From our childhood, we have a prescription how we should be, who we should be, what we should be doing. So similarly, when we come into work, we are given expectations. It could be the organizational structure. It could be the expectation of job. Expectation of business role. And what we also have our own perception of a role. When the day you get a letter of appointment or the day you get promoted, you also create a figure of what you think is the role is. But we don't actually think what the role is. We all think what the job is. It's different. A job of an actor is to act. The role of an actor is to bring the character to life. So it's different. So he visualizes the role. He visualizes the attributes of that role. He visualizes the skill that role should have, and then perform. You give a character to life. So yes, people have expectations of their perception of the role, but in reality, whether the role per se, as you see and as others see, is the same, is a different question. So that's why it's important for people to pause when they get promoted, when they get a new appointment, when they change jobs. Pause and understand what that role is about. what the expectations are. Right. While you come, I'm going to answer Sean's question. See, actually, I got help from my daughter's schoolmate who was a young upcoming journalist. So what happened? See, she used to come and ask me to speak about the role. And if you read the book, it's very spoken language, and she would just record it and reproduce that. It took me about, in the process, I lost my laptop together with my hard drive. So I had to restart. It took about 4 months to write the book and get it out because the content was already there. There's not much research to do because it's a conceptual framework that I brought in, and it's actually a handbook. The people who read, my bosses who read, they said you should keep this at your desk because every time you change your job, you need to erase the past and you got to diagnose that new role. So in my book, I talked about visualization of your role. If you visualize what the role should look like, it'd be different. Zainab, in your absence, I answered a question that came on the chat.
Yeah, sorry, I think cut off for a second. Yeah, it's okay, we'll continue.
Yeah, I'm done with your question. If you missed me, then...
All right. Okay, great. So moving on, actually, I'd just like to know how actually you managed to conduct for your book. And, can you just share a little bit about your experience and how the whole experience was basically conducting research and before you were writing?
As I mentioned, Zainab, this is the written version of a workshop that I conducted.
Yeah.
So a lot of study, conversations with people, and it mostly self-diagnosis. That you look back in your different levels of work, and then you see what is that made me successful in that role? What is that made me not so successful in a particular role? Where did I trample the toes of my bosses? Where did I annoy people? Where did I get very well recognized? I mean, at a commercial bank, I was rated twice the best employee of the year. So I went back and looked to see what is that made me that in that moment. So what I found is that subconsciously I was visualizing what I want to leave behind. And I had this little personal motto called never before, never again experience is what I want to give to my people who work with me or the clients who work with me. So this was so when you visualize what you want to leave behind, then you begin to work towards that. So if you look at the book, I have looked at it. See, in jobs, when you come into a role, we focus on what the company's objectives and company's goals are. One is been long term, one is been short term. We forget what my objectives and my goals are in working in a particular job. And that's why we move. We all work for a salary. We think performance is achieving targets. There's a difference between behaving in a role than performing in a role. So in my book, I talk about the transformation of a female before marriage and after marriage. How many things influences the role of a wife, from cultures to family to religion to society. But then this girl would have her own definition of a role of a wife. So is a husband who will have a definite role of a husband. The mother-in-law will have a different role of a husband. Wife of the son. So what we try to do is, when they say this is what you should be, they're basically imposing their expectation of that role. So, and we tend to give it to that. Imagine you have, I mean, see, from circulars to managers to peers to subordinates to family, expect something in that role. And you also have something. So you need to cut that noise out and you need to visualize what is it I want to leave behind when I move from here. What do I get out of this on my journey? I get out of this on my journey?
So most of, I think, your research has basically come from training program, right? I would think after
And
you answered that question.
And the interactions with different managers. Mostly on self-evaluation.
All right. So to actually just kind of finish off the question, we would just like to know a few words from you personally why you read. So, a few pieces of advice that you would have for any aspiring authors, yourself as well. Any common traps that you might like to guide them through, through their journey.
The first bit of why do I read? I had the passion for knowledge, and I went and got myself a course in speed reading. But certain books you read slowly. We know knowledge is power, right? And if you read, if you have inculcate the habit of reading, there is a level of intellectual engagement that happens. Because there is knowledge out there. You can actually listen to videos, you can watch videos, but when you sit down to read, what we don't realize is there is a very focused intellectual engagement that happens.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
So that engagement creates that openness of your mind. Learning is all about opening your mind. So that is why I read, and I have so much of passion. I buy books on Kindle, on paperback, and there are so many books still are in the packing, and I read about 3-4 books at the same time. And I make it a point to read at least 10 pages, no matter what time I go home, before I go to sleep. Because you wake up with ideas. Your mind, when you read before you sleep, you're triggering some thoughts to your subconscious mind. And then total interpretation, explanation comes out from what you have left in your mind. And the beauty of reading is when you need, the storage brings that thing out and you know where to find it. So, and see, there's different perspectives people bring. I read a book called Die Empty. It's one of the best books I read. And it's not about giving up on physical possessions. It is about emptying your potential. Right. So this kind of stuff actually triggers you, motivates you, inspires you, and more expands the mental capability. A lot of us die not knowing our potential. So reading actually opens your eye to your potential. The self-awareness comes because when you say something in a book, it says, "Yeah, I can apply this to me. I know this." So it starts triggering the thought process. So coming to the second half of the book, what should aspiring authors do? Um, Unlike the old days where you have to sit and write or type, and you can actually talk into a computer today and it can just write it for you. Every life is a story worth writing. Every life is a story worth writing because we have unique experiences that we can share with others. And that's the best self-satisfaction you can lead. So my message to people is you don't have to start writing books. You can start writing blogs. And you can collect these blogs and put them in an ebook. Today you can do it on WordPress and there is software you can buy for $15 for the lifetime and
I guess
convert
it's
this
fairly
into books.
easy to start a blog as well these days.
It's much easier. So when you have a thought process, bring it up. People may read, people may not read. But what happens to you is the fact that you have to organize yourself, you have to articulate, you have to get a story out, brings in a lot of mental capabilities. So it doesn't matter whether you're writing a book. I think my first article called Finding Nemo was about 3,000-4,000 words maximum, right? So when something comes to your mind, when you can give a different interpretation, do it for your sake. Do it for your sake. And then suddenly you realize you have X number of blogs, just put them onto an ebook. Put them onto an ebook. And today you can leave a legacy. These books stay, and your grandchildren can say, oh, here's what this man had said. So don't feel shy. People are scared to speak. You don't have to be scared to write.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, that's some brilliant advice. And honestly, this was an extremely inspiring session, and I'm sure going to read this book. And we also have a question here asking where you can actually purchase this book as well. So, would you like
Right.
to
This
answer
book
that?
is available on Amazon. This book is available in Saraswati. But at the institute where I'm working at the moment, I'm teaching at IIHE. At IIHE, I'm giving it for half the price. So it's 1,000 rupees. I think I just got about just under 100 copies left of the first publication, or the second round of publication. So come on, Peter.
So, with that, actually, we have come to the end of our Saga session, which is the part of Pick a Book. So, again, Pick a Book encourages the reading habit in all participants to select a book, research on it thoroughly, and present a summary. And this also helps to public speaking, communication, and presentations. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. If you want to be the Pick a Book community, or if you would like to see Pick a Book in your region, any of inspiring people, please reach out to us and send us an email. Eagerly looking forward to getting back to you. My name is Beatrice, and I was the moderator this evening. And thank you so much again for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights. It was a brilliant session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. Good luck. Happy reading.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.